everybody, welcome to the English staff room. This is Greg, my colleague that worked with me for around 2.5 years in Cambridge, but today we are in Manchester. I'm visiting Greg and we would like to talk about his teaching experience. So Greg, how long have you been an English language teacher and where?
And where? For about 10 years in total probably, and I've worked here in the UK and also overseas in Spain, Japan and Uruguay.
Wow, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So which is your favourite?
Oh, I can't choose. Not Uruguay though.
Why not?
Spain and Japan are really interesting, so
Okay.
probably those are my favourite too.
Great. Okay, so what's your teaching philosophy?
Yeah, interesting question, Magda. I would say that a lot of people haven't had good experiences learning English in the past and they have to learn English for work or something. So my first and main aim is just to make them feel comfortable in the classroom.
Great.
And to make them understand it's a safe place and a place where they can make mistakes and have fun.
Oh, that's lovely. So do you have any teaching philosophy that you would like to share with people who are watching?
Yeah, connected to that point probably. So make sure that everyone understands it's a welcoming environment where they can be themselves, where they can get to know other people and basically explore their personality using English and to gain some lived experience in English so it becomes more natural and a more natural way for them to think.
Great. And what aspect of English language teaching do you enjoy the most?
Probably seeing the growth of the students and seeing them go from being quite shy to being really confident, or to sort of seeing how they develop as people and gaining a greater awareness of other cultures and their own capabilities.
And what do you find the most challenging about English language teaching?
Yeah, probably motivating students. So in some jobs, maybe you come to work and you're not motivated on a certain day, and you need to motivate yourself. But when you're teaching, you need to not just energize yourself, but inject energy into a whole classroom, and that can be quite a challenge, especially if you're not feeling well or if you haven't slept well the night before. So bringing energy there for everyone.
Yeah, I struggle with that one as well, because it takes so much, of your personality in the English teaching classroom.
Yeah,
right?
Teaching is a performance,
Yeah.
and I think that aspect of it being a performance is probably the hardest thing for me.
Yeah, I agree totally. Well, so in today's episode, I want to focus on lesson planning. I consider Greg as absolutely the most. How do they call it? The person who plans their lessons most thoroughly, and your lesson plans were just exemplary for me. So I'd like you to share your experience in lesson planning and tell us what you think, what lesson planning brings to the classroom. Is it useful? Is it not?
Okay.
What's your approach towards it?
Yeah. So I'm a very organised person, so I enjoy being thoroughly prepared. So I mean that helps me with it. But I would say, I guess going in with an idea of what you want to achieve during the day it is like a safety net, which makes me feel comfortable being able to teach, having it there. But I do think it's important not to see it as something that needs to be followed completely.
Right.
And to have some breathing space for flexibility. So if someone comes in and it turns out it was their birthday on the weekend, then you want to develop that conversation. You don't want to just brush over it and get back to what you had planned. So having something that's there, but understanding it's a blueprint, it's not a complete script that you need to follow.
Exactly. And do you find that sometimes actually lesson planning and following it might be a hindrance to your lesson plan?
Yeah, exactly. So what I was saying before, making sure that you understand that when things crop up, then you take advantage of them. And when natural situations happen in the classroom, you want to follow those leads. And there might be part of your lesson that you only thought would take a few minutes,
Right,
but takes a much longer time, but is really effective, and everyone's really engaged in it, and you want to keep that going while it's the natural topic of conversation. But also, I would say it's easier. So when we were teaching together at Stafford House, we would teach the same class every single day.
Right.
So if I'm teaching a class on a Monday and I don't get around to a lot of my lesson plan for the Monday, I know I can do it the very next day. And so having a class more regularly means that there's more scope for flexibility in what happens in the lesson, because if you have one a week, you might want to stick to the plan a bit more, just because there might be things you need to get through. So different factors affect that, but with all of them, I would say make sure you understand that you're teaching the students, you're not teaching the lesson.
Right, I think that's the most important thing to remember. Exactly. And lots of teachers complain, including myself, that lesson planning takes so much of my time. Like when I first became an English language teacher, I spent hours on planning lessons, and I really struggled to organize myself to not have this time wasted. So what would you say to the teachers who have the same problem? How to maximize or minimize the time you spend on lesson planning and maximize the input, and what would you say to that?
Yeah. Well, I would say it gets easier over time. So if you're struggling with it when you're a new teacher, don't worry and think that it'll be like that forever. But also, I would say get help from more senior members of staff. They can give you suggestions as to how to plan, what might need planning and what might not need so much planning. In terms of once you have certain games and activities that can be done for error correction, you might do the same ones regularly, but they'll always be different, because there will always be different aspects of language that come up in class. And also, ask them for ideas on activities you can do in the classroom in general, and ideas sharing. So we were lucky with the meetings we had at Stafford House, how much we shared our ideas with each other in the staff room, but also in meetings. So ask for help, and there'll always be someone who's willing to help you.
That's very good advice. And so what in your opinion is the perfect structure of a lesson plan? What should it include? So start with a warmer. So just a general speaking activity, maybe students are up out of their seats, moving around a little bit, that's flexible enough that more people can join as they turn up late. And then apart from that, including many different skills in a lesson, so some listening, speaking, reading, writing, grammar and vocabulary, pronunciation. These could be the same activities. Speaking could be the same as pronunciation, for example. And making sure you include an aspect of each in the lesson, especially if it's 90 minutes or 3 hours. And ending that with some error correction of actual sentences and phrases that students have said in class that should be checked. So actually their own errors that are being corrected. Great. And what's your favorite activity that always works in class, that it's always very energizing and brings lots of value to your lesson? I really like an activity that I did as a warmer. They were sitting in their seats, actually, they weren't standing up, but it was where you put you stick a picture of a house under the chair. You remember that one? I did it so many times. Guys, listen, this is really cool.
So I printed out pictures of different houses around the world, and with some blue tack stuck them to the bottom of students' chairs before they enter the classroom. And then I would reveal at the beginning that there's a surprise for them under their chair, and they would have to pull it out, have a look at the house, imagine that they live there, and describe it to their partner. And then they would have to swap pictures with their partner, pair up with someone else, and say, this was my previous partner's house, this is what he or she told me about how it looks on the inside and outside, what the decorations are like, who they live there with, what country it's in, and all of these different details. So it checks that they've been listening to each other as well.
Yeah, I think it works really well because, of course, I copied Greg's
Did you?
idea. Yeah, I even have the printed pictures in my locker still.
Oh, do you? Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. So definitely check this out and let us know in the comments below how did you deal with that. Yeah. Okay. So I think we're just slowly wrapping up our conversation.
Sure.
One more question for you. So, if you ever decided not to be an English teacher, so what would you miss most about it?
Yeah. So, I guess the nurturing aspect of it. So helping students on their journey to sort of helping people discover more about themselves and guiding them through what can be a challenging time, especially if they come to a different country to study. So it'll be around nurturing people, guiding them, helping them out. That would be something that I would definitely miss.
Great. Last week I had an interview with Chris and he said something very similar to
Did
this.
he?
It's really, really interesting to compare your philosophies.
Okay.
Yeah.
I should definitely watch that video.
Okay, thanks guys for watching. Thank you, Greg, very much for being a part of the English
No
Teacher
worries.
Staff Room. Please subscribe, follow us on Instagram, and if you have any questions, comments, or doubts about this episode, please write in the comments below, or you can email us at the English Teacher Staff Room at gmail.com. Thank you.